We are live. Sbtalksports Sean Webb, real takes over fake debates. It is Monday. And we're sponsored by Swift Energy. Go to swiftenergy.gg to get 20% off your order when you use code RTOFD. Salute everybody in the chat. Salute Chip. Salute people in the TikTok chat. Salute. Sean, what's going on, brother, on this Monday for you?
Doing good, SB. How you doing, man?
Chilling, man. It's actually like a smooth little Monday today. Not nothing too crazy, Kids just getting back into school. A lot of sports coming back up. This should be the last week of the preseason, maybe.
Preseason done. Preseason
done. So this Sunday will be our first regular season. Next Sunday. Next Sunday will be the first.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Okay. And then with that being said, we also got NBA coming up soon. We see some legendary moments from WNBA future Hall of Famer, or just a basketball Hall of Famer in general. So we got a lot of things to talk about, though, Sean. But to get the show started, we have breaking news. Nothing too major, so I don't want everybody to freak out like it's nothing that major. But breaking news is still breaking news. Breaking news live here at the Real Takes Over Fake Debates show podcast. We have a trade. Tennessee Titans are trading quarterback Malik Willis to the Green Bay Packers in exchange for a 2025 7th-round pick. Sean, what's your reaction to this?
Good move for the Packers, solidifying the backup to Jordan Love, obviously their franchise quarterback. For Tennessee, once they brought in Mason Rudolph, and obviously they've committed to Will Levis as their starter for this season. He didn't fit into their long-term plans, to be frank. So, it's a good move for them. And again, I think big thing for Green Bay is, you got a guy who hadn't played a lot of football, but has at least, played some football in the NFL. If, knock on wood, something happens to Jordan Love, which it better not because he's my fantasy quarterback. But, hopefully, for Malik Willis, a good chance to stick on, get in a good system, a quarterback developing system, and continue to grow, as a player.
Yeah, I think this is a great move for the Packers to also, like you said, you solidify back up just in case anything goes wrong, because Malik Willis, even though it didn't really work out in Tennessee, and he's not the starter, but he definitely had a lot of talent. He had a lot of talent coming in from college too. Fast quarterback, could work on his accuracy a little bit more at this level. Got a strong arm, so I think like to have that as a backup and the talent, and then in a good place to have it, a lot of talent that you need to hone in on is the quarterback whispering school of the Green Bay Packers. So I think this, and it's also I think it's a better move for Malik Willis too. So obviously, if you is a backup, the Packers is a good place to be one. So Leak joined the Packers QB family. Who's Leak? Is that? Oh, he's talking Malik. Yeah, yep. Yes, he did. He's there. But let me know what you guys think about this. Is this an L or W move by the Packers? Is an L or W move by the Titans? Because they pretty much gave him up for nothing. On to the next story. We got to get into things. So, Pro Football Hall of Fame has cut the waiting period for coaches to 1 year. Is we going to see Belichick 2026, Sean? It's looking like it might be a possibility early. So what you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, definitely could be a real possibility for him in the 2026 class. Definitely, might even see it before that. But, we'll see. And obviously, someone like Pete Carroll as well, it could affect him. Because I don't know if he'll ever coach in the NFL again. Certainly, has had a Hall of Fame worthy coaching career. But yeah, so it makes sense for coaches not to wait so long, particularly because now you got coaches who are really coaching, into their 70s and still, being very effective as head coaches at that age. Shouldn't have to wait 5 years after you decide to retire or to hang up from coaching to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. So, good move by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And again, we'll see if Belichick and Pete Carroll benefit from this sooner than later.
before I get my take on it, shout out Blue Ball in the chat. That was cracking SB and Sean. What's good? You know, it's Monday. We chilling. Who y'all Super Bowl picks? Blue Ball, you got to tune into the show on Friday. We giving our Super Bowl picks. We giving our not Super Bowl. We got Super Bowl in there, but we getting division records. We doing awards. We doing everything Friday, right before the season starts. So we got it locked in, and then we gonna come back like we did last year, and then see who's right or wrong. And also don't forget the picks of the week coming back. I can't wait for those. You know, Sean won last year. We will get it back in blood. But yeah, tune in for that Friday. But my thing on this though, Sean, and I asked you this question before the show. We said you're gonna go in more detail for it before I get my full take on it. I was only concerned about like, okay, when you get inducted to the Hall of Fame, can you still coach, or are you completely done? That was my question.
No, you can still coach. We've seen Joe Gibbs get inducted in the Hall of Fame and come back and coach later on. They used to say, oh, okay, yeah, you know, if a guy's done coaching that, you know, we don't want to put him in the Hall of Fame, but I mean, it shouldn't really matter. It's not like coaching is not the same as, you know, a player. So, you know, yeah, like if Bill Belichick got in the Hall of Fame and a team decided to hire him, and again, I think he does definitely want to coach in the NFL again sooner than later. You know, if he got in, then, you know, so be it. So yeah.
For me, I was just because that's the main thing that was like really concerning to me, because I'm like, okay, Bill Belichick wanted a job, which I'm gonna go swiping to when we go to our next topic of concerning that. But now I'm only concerned is like, okay, are you going to do this for the players too? Because you also allude to the fact that coaches are older now, so they probably want to actually just get it out the way with coaches, just in case of guys like 75, 76 years old. You know, you got to wait 5 years till you about like 80 something. So then that'll be even tougher on them. You know, we just seen that. Well, he was actually sick, but you know, you can see things like that. Anything can happen at any point in time, especially at an old age. We just seen that with the fellow Hall of Famer from the Chicago Bears. Why is his name skipping my head right now? Steve McMichaels, Big Mike. So that's the only thing. So I think it's good intentions with it, but I also would love to see it maybe with the players at 2-2. Because you said the players in NFL is 5. I know NBA is 4.
It's 5 for the players in the NFL.
I would probably love to drop it to like 3, maybe 3 or 4. I think 5 is like a little too harsh, even though I understand that players are usually younger than obviously 70 when they retire. But so I don't like in all, I feel like I don't have a problem with it, because there's certain guys like a Bill Belichick, like a Andy Reid, when you automatically, you know, they first battle Hall of Famers when they drop. So I feel like what's the real weight too? Because I mean, not to compare the two from NBA to NFL, but sometimes in life tragedies happen. And if you know a guy like Kobe Bryant, who was a first ballot, all guaranteed that he was gonna make it in the Hall of Fame, I feel like why wait? The year he retired, we could have been the next year. You know, maybe we could have got that Kobe Bryant retirement speech that we all missed out on as a sports fan. We still got that hole in our heart from. But
yeah,
I'm thinking like, yeah.
And I think again, a little different. You know, certainly.
But anything can happen anytime. That's my point. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, anything can happen. And again, I think, you know, the big thing is what the Hall of Fames don't want to do is put someone in the Hall of Fame who could potentially come back and play. That's what they don't want. So, you know, yeah,
that'd be crazy. First player ever to score in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, Bill Belichick 20. I mean, if this is a kid, they lifted. You might say, like you said, before 2026, lift it up now, because Bill Belichick gonna get another job. But Bill Belichick is automatically first ballot. He can make it 2025. And the reason why I brought that up about Bill Belichick for having another job, because once again, the Kanye West of the NFL, as you should say, or owners or GMs, as Sean voice, Jerry Jones in the news again for saying some outlandish. And when I seen this, I was like, this is probably part of the reason why they couldn't get a Bill Belichick. You know, Jerry Jones gonna cover it up and be like, oh yeah, you know, we cool with the coach we got, or we trust. No, you don't. You had a chance to get a Bill Belichick, you take it. But it was asked the question about him remaining the Cowboys GM. And Sean, he gave a very, very, very profane justification for why he is remaining at the Cowboys GM. Jerry Jones quoted said, "No one can be Cowboys GM any better than I can." And your reaction is what?
This is why they don't win. This is why they don't win.
That's true.
You know, it's that level of hubris that has caused them not to win, right? When they won in the 90s with the team that Jimmy Johnson built, to be very clear, when Jimmy Johnson decided, hey, you know what? They decided to mutually part ways, but it was ego that was getting in the way. Jerry Jones wanted credit. That's what he wanted. He wanted the credit. And he said, hey, I can get 500 coaches to come in here and coach this team. And he had Barry Switzer. And I tell this to any Cowboys fan, the worst thing that happened to the Dallas Cowboys was y'all winning a Super Bowl with Barry Switzer as the head coach. Because in Jerry Jones' mind, as long as he puts together the talent, it doesn't matter who the coach is. I think he's backed off that a little bit, but not a lot. But if Jerry Jones, the GM, had only been the GM and not the owner, Jerry Jones, the GM, would have been fired a long time ago.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Because he don't do a good job. Like you got one of the best receivers in the league. Look how long it took for you to pay him. And then you knew, but how you set up these guys' contracts, especially with you franchise tagging Dak to death, where you put yourself in a position where you got 3 of your best players all up at the same time. Tell me how that makes sense. Like, you're supposed to at least knocked out one of those contract extensions a year or two earlier. And you probably got it for a cheaper price because the market goes up every year. It's going to go up.
The market goes up every contract.
Every contract. Honestly, every contract. Every contract. And Jerry is just in the way. Even that is like, bro, everybody has a genuine role to build a great team. If you want to be successful, everybody got to be a star in their role. When you going out your own role, you as an owner, stop trying to be the top guy and want all the credit. You own the team. You own the team. You are the guy, the head guy. Hire somebody to do the job. Hire somebody to do that job.
I'll tell you this, SB, just real quick. So Jerry Jones, as we've talked about, is a marketing genius.
100%. 100%.
Right. Marketing genius. So in the early years of him owning the Cowboys, they were one of the first teams to have cameras in the draft room, in the war room during the draft.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have audio. You couldn't listen to their conversations. But what he does, and again, he's selling this reality show, so to speak. He leans into Jimmy Johnson and says, hey, before we make this pick, lean in and talk to me like you and I are discussing the pick. Right? That's Jerry Jones.
Genius.
Yeah.
Star in his role.
Right.
He needs to worry about that. Because I think that if he was only worried about that, imagine it's still crazy to even say this because how valuable the Cowboys are. Now, I think they'll probably be double than what they is if Jerry Jones was 100% just focused on being a marketing genius and making more money for the Cowboys because he got that on lock. The Cowboys going to be in the news every week if possible, anytime. It could be any look thing, something like this. Well, we got a whole segment talking about Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, but he needs somebody to run the team and worried about what's important for the team. And I don't think Jerry Jones is going to get out his own way because he wants the credit. Is the ego really that much worth it to say that you did it instead of just actually having a trophy? You rather just, if I don't get the credit, I'd rather not win. That's what I'm starting to get from Jerry Jones. And it's I don't know, man. I hate to be a Cowboys fan from the point of like, you didn't have things go your way and y'all have enough talent to win. Y'all had some years easily scheduling, but the only person in y'all way is y'all own. Only person in the way is I'd be sick if I was a Cowboys fan. But let me know what you guys think about that. Is Jerry Jones the right GM for the job for the Dallas Cowboys?
Listen, if you're a non-Cowboys fan, absolutely he's the
right 100%.
person.
I love it.
If you're an Eagles fan, I ain't gonna talk about the other team, but if you're an Eagles fan or one of them teams that have to compete against the Cowboys, yeah, he's the absolutely right GM for the job. but Cowboy fans would beg to differ.
Oh yeah, 100%. He need to go ahead and get out the way. He said, "I am tired of that man." He said, "Jerry the best." FYI, Sean, he's an Eagles fan. He's an Eagles fan. I also seen the clip too. Speaking of the Eagles, real quick before we go to the next story, I seen the Eagles posted a short of Saquon Barkley catching like either an out route or an out route pass, and he juked the defender. And you see, was it Devontae Smith and looked at AJ Brown? He looked at AJ Brown like, "Oh yeah, they done messed up." Hey, he looked at him like, "Hey, bro, that boy real." And I'm still going to say the Giants have to be the worst franchise of all time to let Saquon Barkley go. Because honestly, I think Saquon Barkley was getting hurt as much as he did because he had to carry that much of a load on that team. Now he goes somewhere with the Eagles, where it's not going to be, he's going to be a heavy part of the offense, but he don't have to be genuinely the only person they got to eye on. This is going to be Saquon Barkley first time probably not having like 10 people in the full 8 in the box every time. Oh my Lord. Hey, look, don't be surprised. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if Saquon Barkley look like Christian McCaffrey next year. When it happened, I called it out first. Speaking of the Cowboys again, let's go back to the same division. Cowboys finally paid CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb agreed to in terms of a 4-year, $136 million extension, which will make him the second highest paid wide receiver. Sean, all I got to say about this is about time. Like, what took you so long? At the end of the day, football is a young man's sport, and you want to get ahead of the contracts early. You got one of the best players at a position at a young age. Pay the man now. Figure it out now. Because like you said, every contract makes the money go higher. So the quicker you could have got this over with, you probably could have extended CD last year. I've been paying a lot less. Now, before I say that, what you think about CeeDee Lamb getting signed?
Not surprising. I mean, he led the NFL in targets, led the NFL in receptions, was second in receiving yards. He's the gap between him and their next leading receiver yardage-wise was almost 1,000 yards. Jake Ferguson was second on that team in receiving yards. So CeeDee Lamb is a big part of what they do and what they did last year. You got to pay him. And, and now, again, one down, 2 to go. I know we talked about, which we'll talk about in a minute, but if I'm Jamar Chase, especially, I'm looking at this contract and I'm looking at Justin Jefferson contract, and I'm like, all right, I need to be somewhere
around that,
right in that range, if not a little bit more. So, that's the big winner. I mean, CD obviously getting, the signing bonus, $100 million guaranteed, big deal for him. But Cowboys had to do this; they had no choice.
Yeah. And then for me, I'm not saying like because people we say certain things because I think Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb are goated, but I got CD over Jamar right now. It could be injuries included with that too. I think CD right now at this moment is a better wide receiver. Both are still good, and they literally like neck and neck. So I'm not paying Jamar more than CD. I probably give if I gave CD 136, I could probably do like 132, you know what I'm saying, 130. See what that. I think that'd be a good number around that still range, but he should be around the same range as where CeeDee Lamb is at for sure. But the biggest question I got in my mind for this was now one domino's drop, another one has to drop right behind it. So CD got paid, but what does this mean for Micah and Dak? I already told you my answer, and I'm gonna say it again after you go, Sean. The answer is easy to me, but what about you?
So Dak is the priority now, to be honest with you. He's only got a year left on his deal. Still got 2 years left on Micah Parsons' deal. And I think Micah Parsons has been pretty open to saying he's willing to wait. He's not in a rush to get paid. He understands that he is going to get paid, and he's going to get paid very well, whether from Dallas or someone else. But I think Dak is the priority. And Dak, frankly, has all the leverage. That's the reality. They can't franchise Dak after this season.
No, they can't.
And so, Dak can go in and basically quote his number, and, we'll see if Jerry and that front office will pony up. If Dak repeats the success he had last year in the regular season this season, and the Cowboys say, hey, we just can't pay you at that number, there are going to be several teams that are backing up the Brinks truck to bring in Dak Prescott. So
Dak, don't go to the Giants. They're gonna kill your career, Dak. Don't do it. I know you got to get that money, Dak, but don't go there.
And Dak knows that he's going to have a serious value on the market again, provided he has, back-to-back seasons like he had last year, this season. So, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm trying to get Dak taken care of immediately. And I know they're talking. They are having conversations. Will it happen before the season? That remains to be seen. The thing when you sign these deals, and what a lot of people may not always realize, is when you sign a player to a certain amount of guaranteed money, the rest of that guaranteed money has to go into an escrow. So the team has to have that money put into an escrow account. They got to have it available. They just did that. CeeDee Lamb just got $100 million guaranteed. What is it going to require for Dak to get signed? Long term, what guarantees are going to be there? So it's not going to be Deshaun Watson guarantees, but certainly it's going to be quite a bit of money guaranteed over the next 4 years.
Yeah, before I go, Tiffany said Jamar Chase can lead the Bengals. I bet you wish he would lead the Bengals. I know you don't want to see Jamar Chase. Blue Ball want to know who our top 5 receivers is right now. Jay Jettas. No particular order, but Jay Jettas, CD, AJ, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. For me. What about you, Sean?
I'll go with your list. Yeah, I hadn't given it a lot of thought, to be honest.
Because I think the only person you might question is like maybe Devontae, but it's like really we know Devontae still got it. He's just in a bad situation.
Yeah. So I'll go with your list.
I think they consider, because I know it's the number 1 and 2 is Tyreek and Jetta for sure. No debating that. 1 and 2.
I don't have Tyreek 2. I have Jamar higher than Tyreek.
We got Jamar Chase over. I got Jamar over CeeDee. I can't put him over CeeDee.
Yeah.
Jamar nice though. But either way, you know what I'm saying? You playing with house money with either one of them too, though, because they get busy. They get busy for sure. But from my point, what does it mean for Micah and Dak? That Sean made great points where Micah gonna play ball with the Cowboys. Obviously, Micah was happy to be a Cowboy, so he's gonna make it easy for these guys. I just think it's 2 ways it could go. I think Micah should be the priority, because if you pay Dak now and you come in the season starting off bad, y'all don't look the same, then y'all gonna wish to get rid of him, then you're gonna be in a Broncos situation. Micah, for sure, he's younger. Football is a young man's game at the end of the day. You always got to prioritize young talent. And I know sometimes we end up making mistakes at the quarterback position because the position is overvalued instead of looking at what it is for what it is, the situation, because any other team would prioritize the 2 younger stars. But since it's football and quarterback position is the main position of football, so that will always going to have a look. And obviously, that another Dak Prescott ain't just out there waiting right now at the moment. You could probably get one in a draft if the Dallas Cowboys could pick high enough to get one or trade up high enough, or you can end up with a Daniel Jones, either way it goes. So it's a 50-50 chance, but for me, I'm prioritizing Micah. We might have to let Dak play out the year because it's some good quarterbacks coming up in this draft. Like we talking about every time I got like Shador. We talk about Carson Beck. Who was the other guy I said? Why his name is escaping me right now.
Quinn Ewers.
Quinn Ewers, a dude from Texas. So it's some quarterbacks there where you can put somebody there to get the job done. But either way it go, because the star, I didn't feel like Dak run his course. Where I think Dak and the Dallas Cowboys both need a new scenery. I think because if I'm the the Las Vegas Raiders, I wouldn't mind getting the Dak Prescott at any point in time. I think that'd be great because I don't know if Devontae Adams can handle leading with a rookie quarterback. I hope he develop right away. I think you could go get a Dak for that situation. So either one. Go ahead.
So I'll say this real quick. It has to be two things. One, I know we clown the Cowboys as they deserve to be clowned because they're the Cowboys. But the one thing the Cowboys traditionally don't do, and Cowboy quarterbacks who are their franchise quarterbacks, they never leave.
Yeah.
They only play for the Cowboys. So you go all the way back to Don Meredith, Roger Staubach, Troy Fakeman, Tony, I ain't gonna say what I normally call him, but Tony,
Romo.
Who,
Tony,
yeah,
there you go. Tony,
there you go. They don't leave. They only play for the Cowboys because the value of being the franchise quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys is immense post-career. So, and Dak is no fool, right? He understands that. He knows that. I think he wants to stay in Dallas. He likes being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys because it's a prestige position, even if you don't win. So he understands that. So it'll be interesting. But also, if this is going to be an interesting quarterback market, because again, you mentioned the three guys in college who are likely first round picks. Could be a fourth one who sneaks in there as well. But also, I think you could see some musical chairs from the quarterback perspective, because again, say you're a team like Atlanta, right? And say you've gone as far as you're going to go next season with Kirk Cousins, and you got this young guy behind him that, you're ready to get on the field. Or, he has a no trade clause, which means he can certainly work out wherever he would end up. But, so it could be some musical chairs from the quarterback perspective, depending on that situation. Also, again, Dak. But I think the first domino has got to be what happens with Dak ultimately.
Let me know what you guys think about that. Blue Ball, they 50-50, around the same range. I couldn't pick one over the other. They're around the same range.
AJ.
Well, I'm not mad at that though.
Yeah.
Browns running back Nick Chubb, it's set to miss at least the first 4 games of the season, obviously stemming from an injury that happened last season. Only question that I have is we for to see a deja vu, the same thing with the Cleveland Browns, where just injury riddled team, and we don't really get to see this team to potential? Because if they gonna keep doing that, man, I know my boy ain't going to win the league because he loved Cleveland, but man, free Myles Garrett, man. Put Myles Garrett somewhere, man. His talent needs to get put to use, man. It's Chargers. I mean, free Myles Garrett, you know what I'm saying? Put him on somewhere where you can get him to put to use, and then we can, win a championship or something, man. I'm ready to see Myles Garrett in real winning situation football because he's that talented.
No, listen, they were a playoff team last year, obviously, with the musical chairs they had at quarterback, given the injuries. Obviously, they lost Chubb for the season as well. They were still able to maintain. To your question, SB, we'll see what this team looks like when they're healthy. They are very deep, right?
They got talent.
They are very deep. The big question is obviously the health of Deshaun Watson, certainly. And can their defense, replicate what they did last year? They were number 1 ranked defense in the NFL last year. They were very good defensively. They should still be very good defensively. So we'll see what happens. When the season starts. They open the season with Dallas in town. So we'll see. But certainly their big thing is, in all honesty, is they just got to be healthy. And can you get Deshaun Watson? You're not asking for 2019 Deshaun Watson, right? That's the 2020. You're not asking for that. What they need is Deshaun Watson to come in and stabilize that position that they paid him to stabilize, because the talent is around him. We know that.
He got more than Deshaun Watson got more than enough talent around him to get the job done on both sides of the ball. Even though I know he don't play both sides of the ball. But the sad thing is, Sean, the Cleveland Browns is the equivalent of the Los Angeles Clippers during the Paul George and the Kawhi Leonard era. All that talent, they just don't have nothing to use, and then sometimes injuries just get in the way. The injury bug, it sucks. I feel like the Browns just jinx or something. So it sucks, but I hopefully when Chubb come back, because Chubb being on the field is a difference maker for this Cleveland Browns team, and it will be a difference maker for Deshaun Watson because a running back like Nick Chubb will make your job easier. But I just have to stick to that, man. They haven't shown all the talent that they got on both sides of the ball. They have nothing to show for it. I'm still gonna stick to that. The Cleveland Browns are the Los Angeles Clippers of the NFL at today's moment. Speaking of another team who's on a rebuild with a young quarterback, Jared Mayo and the New England Patriots said Drake Maye has been outplaying Jacoby Brissett, but he also alluded to the fact that other factors weigh in on the starting position. Long story short, guys, the quote was pretty much acknowledging that Drake Maye has been closing the gap, but it's other factors that's going to pretty much weigh on if he's going to be able to start at some point in time. He just said he's not going to rush him, long story short. There's no need to rush him. The Patriots not making the playoffs. The Patriots ain't competing for a Super Bowl. They in a rebuild situation. You could just sit back, enjoy this time. And then I would not hear no Patriots fan be complaining around this downtime. Y'all had a whole run for about 10 plus years with Tom Brady. Y'all gonna have to have a downturn at some point. So y'all can take a couple years off and actually build up and develop something in the right direction. But what was your reaction to this? I actually like what Coach Mayo said. I think this was the perfect way to handle it. You got a young quarterback. You always just had a bad situation with Mac Jones. You thought he was going to be the next guy. He wasn't. So I think he's trying to handle this situation very cautiously.
Yeah, I think the big thing, SB, is they don't want to put him out there given their inefficiencies on offense. They don't really have a lot of dynamic weapons out there. We think they'll still be pretty good defensively just because of how they played the last few years, even obviously without Matthew Judon. But no need to rush him out there, right? You let Brissett start the season, which is what I think they'll do, and kind of see where you are. Honestly, if they could redshirt Drake Maye the entire season, that would be great. But their big thing is no need to rush him out there because what you don't want to do is to get him hurt, not just in terms of physically, but also any confidence that he might be trying to build to be, your franchise quarterback long term. So Jerod Mayo's no dummy. He understands, there's going to be an interest. And also, SB, as much as it's Jerod Mayo, it's really an organizational decision. And that's, top down, what is, Elliot Wolf and what are, the Kraft saying about this? Are they saying, hey, this decision is on Jerod Mayo and let him make the decision solely, or are they putting in their input? So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, and I hope during this whole Patriots rebuild process, they don't just instead of let's just rebuild the Patriot dynasty, that should be the main goal, instead of trying to find the next Tom Brady. I hope that's they don't prioritize that. But we'll see. This is a new area of Patriots history, so we'll see how it goes. But obviously, Sean, we also acknowledge that the preseason is officially over. So we have to have our biggest winners and losers of the preseason, Sean. I'll let you go first. Who is your biggest winner and losers of the preseason?
Mine's very simple, SB. The biggest winners are the teams that got through preseason without any major injuries. And the losers are the teams that had major injuries happen during the preseason.
I mean, that's a good way to put it. I'm not even mad at that. I can't maybe want to change my answer, man. That was kind of all right. So now I got to change my answer. So winners, do kickoff return system, but for me, the biggest winners, I think a lot of teams, because I was very high on this young quarterback class that came in. So any team that got one of those quarterbacks from this draft so far, the Caleb Williams, the Jaden Daniels, the Michael Penix, and I was hating on them, but even the Bo Nix, because this class was looking very nice and look like they have talent, like they gonna be some long-term starters so far for the preseason. But they look good. They look nice. Also, biggest winner too, the Eagles for still finessing to get Saquon Barkley. I don't know how they still let that happen, but it's the Giants. What can you expect from them? So yeah, and biggest losers, I definitely agree with on the injuries. Whoever got an injury, you're the biggest loser, regardless, because that sucks. And then also the New York Giants, biggest loser. Now we got to switch to. Sorry, Blue Ball. Sorry, Todd. It's a little.
They know their team trash.
Yeah, they know it's trash.
Yeah, they know what it is.
Yeah. We got to talk some basketball real quick, Sean. I got the picture in my phone, so I want the exact quote for this one. We got some Magic Johnson and Anthony Edwards beef because, we in the podcast world, everybody has questions, opinion, and talks about certain different things. Anthony Edwards had an opinion on the Jordan era. He said, they say it was tougher back then than it is now. But I don't think anybody had the skill back then than Michael Jordan. No, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. But I don't think anybody had skill back then. Michael Jordan was the only one who had real skill. So obviously, Magic responds on another podcast, Stephen A. Magic kept it short and simple. I would never respond to a guy that has never won a championship. I got very strong feelings on this, both sides of this.
Go ahead, SB.
Let me go first. Okay. Antman versus the Magic Man. Okay, my problem is this, right? This all stems from what I hate talking about now, the GOAT debate. Because the GOAT debate started all this from trying to down other players to make other players seem better than them. And then the GOAT debate responded from generations. Then it went from eras. Then it went from teams. Then you compared it. So this all is a trickle down effects. And then the problem was from this thing was that, when people try to down players, they down your competition. They down the skill set. So now this is becoming a running thing because of what it started. And that's why I hate doing the GOAT debate. It all stems from that. So now you got like these younger players who just calling the past era just trash. Say this era trash because the skill set wasn't the same. I'm sorry to tell you this. Evolution is a thing because the same way that I used to watch the game in the 80s is not the same way how I can literally open my phone. If the Bulls played the game today, I can literally watch the full game on my phone. Back in the day, you had to go back and watch it on the big back TV and hoping that it was a rewind or you actually had the TV service. But to be fair to the younger generation, all the old heads have been clowning and trashing this generation, saying that players don't work hard or they don't have no real rivalries. Everybody friendly, which everybody in the back of the day was friendly. They say they not tough enough. Like they started all this and they kept saying like, oh, y'all need to go back and watch our era to see how it's really done. And like the old heads kind of set themselves up for failure because you got the 12th man on the NBA bench now is more skilled than a starter from the 80s, in the 70s, and the 90s. And that's just the evolution of the game. So when both sides collide and not actually trying to educate each other on the game instead of trying to down and make a proof of point. Shout out Stephen A. and Skip Bayless for doing that because everything always got to be right, proof a point instead of just have a conversation. You don't, instead of saying, hey, young fella, look, the era was different back then. This was going on. We didn't fully develop. Also, the carry stuff, the rules was different. You had to do this. The hand checking rules was different. And then also the older generation should embrace the newer generation and held them up saying, y'all taking the game to a new level. And I think that would end all it. But, so what's your take on it, Sean?
I'm disappointed in both Anthony Edwards and Magic Johnson for different reasons. Mm-hmm. With Magic, you are the OG. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be the one that says, hey, let me reach out to the young fella. Mm-hmm. Right. Let me reach out to the young fella and have a conversation with him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you on how much you're on Twitter, but I've been noticing quite a bit. SB Isaiah Thomas has been on Twitter quite a bit.
No, I'm not shocked about that.
Yeah, and he's been refuting a lot of this skill versus blah blah blah. And one thing he said that I think is not talked about enough is the biggest difference today isn't skill, it's the 3-point shot and spacing. That's the big difference. 3-point shot and spacing. He would know that because the Pistons, particularly that early run Pistons teams, they played very much an inverted offense, meaning Bill Lamb, for example, was not a post up. He did not play in the post. He was a guy that played away from the basket. He shot threes in an era where centers didn't shoot threes. Adrian Dantley, who was their small forward, played in the post. So he understands, not just from playing in that era, but also in his time watching the game, being a coach, GM, all that stuff. He understands how the game has changed. But the biggest change has been we shoot more threes, a lot more threes, and the spacing. And everybody shoots threes. It's not one or two guys. It's everyone shoots threes now. So because the analytics say, hey, this is a better shot than taking a long two, or in some cases taking a mid-range. So, I wish when guys say this type of stuff that the OGs would pull the young guys aside and say, hey, understand that this is what it was. Now, for Ant, you got to do your research, brother. You got to do your research. I could name 5 or 6 guys right off who played in that era who were incredibly skilled. One of those guys is Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
Was a dog.
Right? He, in my opinion, is the precursor to Steph Curry. When you watch his tape. Now, again, he had to shoot. This is not the same volume because the volume is different because the game is different. But absolute dog and would give you the business. Right? You gotta go watch the tape. Like, it's I just don't, this whole thing of skill. And also what's changed, and again, I don't think we have this conversation enough in basketball circles, in basketball discourse, is positional expectation.
In the era, because everybody said it's definitely different. Yes.
It's different. The way you play point guard 30 years ago is not the way you play point guard today. Right? Centers do not run to the center of the offense or to the block like that anymore. Right? You see more centers shooting the trail, or they're called the trail big, but basically the 4 or 5 who come down as a trail big who will pull up from 3 as a trail big. Right? That happens a lot more today than it ever happened. So it's a different game spacing. It's a different game in terms of what types of shots you're looking for. It's not we're dumping the ball into the post just constantly. We're going to play inside out. No, it's we're going to move the ball. We're going to drive and kick. It's going to be a lot of we're looking for mismatches, and we switch everything. It's a different game. So the skill set then is going to look different because it's a different game. Right. And and that's the nature of the beast. It's SB, I compare it to this, right? There's movies that were made in the 80s that if you watch them today, they're gonna look
terrible.
But for the time, they were either right at the time or ahead of their time. You watch the first Terminator movie. The premise of the first Terminator movie still applies to today. But it was shot 40 years ago, so it's gonna look different because it was shot 40 years ago. So I think that's what we don't talk about that enough. I think and we just got to be willing to say, hey, listen, evolution happens. It's not that the guys back in the day what they did was without merit. And it's not to say that what the guys today are doing was that without merit. It's just a very different game.
And that's true.
And it only seems to happen in basketball. It doesn't seem to happen like that in other sports when the game has changed in other sports. In baseball, I'm just using baseball as an example. 300 was the standard. You hit 300. Not 300 home runs. Like your batting average need to be 300. If you were batting 220, why are you in the majors? But you'll have guys who bat 220, 230 in the majors are in the majors because they have power. They can drive the ball out of the yard. They're going to hit 40 home runs. So, but I don't hear the guys from yesterday criticizing the guys today because it's a very different game, right? Today, your 2-3 hitter matters more. Back in the day, it was your 3-4 hitter. So it's just it happens in every single sport. Like, we just got to be okay with that and embrace it. And if you don't like it, don't watch it. But for Magic and Ant, have a conversation. How hard is that?
I think it would have been simple. They just could have avoided this all in total. But I think, like you said, I think they're wrong on both sides. I agree on both sides. Salute Cottage, what's going on? And they said, SB, you remember the first show when we did a criteria episode? Yeah, we got out of criteria. The criteria means a lot. People for sure had skill back in the day, but I agree that this era is more skill, and they should be. And if you got more spaces to operate, but also this what the people got to understand this too, though. I have the luxury, but sometimes a couple times in my life, one from the location that I'm from, Chicago, and they had the attack gym where they used to do like the pre-draft stuff. So I done went to that gym a couple times, seen like the pre-draft workouts. And then I also got a chance for like just my family or people who hooped or just going to the area of Chicago to see people, real professionals hoop. And I can tell you the stuff that you think that you don't see, like they don't do, they can do. Everybody, even from back in the day, probably like 90s, like Charles Barkley probably in open runs, doing crossovers, shooting threes, passing, like they are the best of the best, but you have to, like Sean said it earlier, positional expectations where certain things you got to do. Where it's like what's the guy from he was just on the Knicks. I don't know if he's still on that. Mitchell Robinson. He literally been showing another all off-season workouts. Him shooting threes, knocking down threes, shooting threes, knocking down threes, shooting threes, knocking down threes, and he ain't gonna be able to shoot out 1-3 when the league starts because you got a positional expectation where it's like you can't do certain things. Everybody not gonna have the ultimate green light. But I want to see more from the young generation and the older generation. But I'm trying to tell you, Sean, this all stems from one thing, and that's why I hate it, and I don't really like talking about it unless we have to. You know what I'm saying? Unless it have to point. It's the Jordan versus LeBron thing. It's the GOAT debate. There's literally that's all it came from, and it just trickled down. Or everybody trying to use the same way they try to put Jordan over LeBron or LeBron over Jordan, and they did that for everything. Did it with eras, all that. But speaking of an era that is of a player that was great, short-lived, Maya Moore, 2-3, one of the greatest WNBA players of all time. I think I got it either 2 or 3. I remember what I did on my list again on top of the head. Everybody know Candace Parker, number 1 for sure. But had her jersey retired by the Minnesota Lynx. Obviously, everybody knows she cut her career short early. 8-year career. And sometimes when they say, Sean, when they say things are bigger than basketball, Maya Moore is the living embodiment of that. Her husband that she's with now was wrongfully convicted. She helped him get free. Shout out to her for them. They ended up getting married. She was actually just helping him out, ended up becoming a love story, which is good because the guy was wrongfully convicted. We do need to fix our criminal justice system. That's a different story and a different type of platform for that type of conversation. We try to avoid that, but we can all still agree in our head that our system needs to be fixed because that guy right there is living the body of to be wrongfully convicted, losing years on your life for something that you did not do. So she left to pursue that and ended up retiring at that point in time. So before I get to, because I got a bold statement about her early retirement, but what's your reaction to Maya Moore jersey retirement and what you can say about her career in general. Because if you look at her accomplishments, basketball wise, it's crazy. I'm sorry. It's like not even just WNBA alone. It's like ridiculous.
Well, I mean, certainly, I mean, well deserved. She, only played 8 seasons in the WNBA, but all 8. I mean, she was a day oneer. She was someone that walked in from day one and was absolutely like that. I was going to say something, but I'll leave it alone.
That's what I said. Now,
well,
we're gonna take some fake debate. So let's go get us canceled before we.
No, it's not gonna get us canceled. No, I'll come back to it. Okay. The thing about Maya Moore, and I know you want to bring up another point after this, and I'll say this really quickly. Maya Moore is the embodiment of it's not how long, it's what you do with the time you have. Right? We are so caught up in this longevity thing now, especially in sports. How long do they do this? How long did they do that? No. What did you do with the time you had? Right? Because we know for a fact she could have kept playing. And as you mentioned earlier, why she stopped and what she, suspended her career to do. Which, I'll just say this to all the single ladies out there who, saying there's nobody out there for them. All you have to do is help a brother who's been wrongfully convicted.
He gonna rock with you.
Get out of prison. And you too can find the love of your life.
but they ain't Maya Moore though. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's not Maya Moore. But no, in all seriousness, in all seriousness, what she did in the time she played, we know she's great. So when you talk about her, it's not longevity will not be part of the conversation, but it does not mean that she is not one of the greatest to ever do it. And again, because it's not about longevity, it's about what did you do with the time you had.
No, 100% agree. And then we also talk about how longevity or how many times you won and lost your career. She played 8 years. She got 4 rings. So half of her years in her career, she won a championship. And when she left, the Lynx was still good enough to win again. So they was hot at that point in time too. But this made me think of something, Sean. I feel like Maya Moore early retirement is equal to Michael Jordan's early retirement in '93. Literally left at the top of her game. If Michael Jordan never came back after '93, this what it felt like with Maya Moore. I feel like this what it would have felt like if Jordan would have never came back. And I just left the game, got 3, got out of there. Maya Moore left the game, got 4, got out of there. And you know that this person could probably come back. I don't really know if the Lynx is still they're not as good as they was at that point in time. But you know this person can still come back, still be an NBA. I still think right now to this point, Maya Moore could come back right now and at least still be a top 10 player. Still, I know it's been a little bit while where she's gone, but she was just that cold. To me, she's just that cold. But this is my theory on that. This it feels like when Michael Jordan left in '93. This like that cliffhanger, like when it's like, I think Maya Moore could at least got 3 more.
I'm gonna use another sport, different athlete. For me, it's like Barry Sanders.
That too.
That because again, a lot of people will equate team success to an individual. That's not really my thing. I'm just looking at the individual talent. When she walked away, she was the best in the world. And she didn't come back. And she's not coming back. So with Jordan, obviously, the difference is, he did come back eventually. And, we know the story. Watch The Last Dance. You know the story. For me, it's more like Barry Sanders, where she walked away and did it on her own, wasn't looking for a lot of fanfare and all that stuff, had her own personal reasons for doing it. And you always wonder, if she came back, could she still do it? And I promise you, SB, there were probably 2 or 3 years easily after Barry Sanders walked away that people was like, Barry could still come back. Barry could still come back. Barry could still come back. And, he never did. So again, When we look at his career, just like Maya Moore's, we look at that finite time that they play and what they did in the time they played. So for me, it's more Barry Sanders than MJ, but I understand your rationale.
Yeah, I agree with that. You said the Bulls are all right, brother. I mean, I hope you do. We take it for Cooper Flag. But since we're on the topic of women's sports, we got like a little theory, Sean. Will this ever become possible? Will a woman be the head coach of a Division I men's basketball team by 2030? Sean, my only problem with this question, I seen when you showed me this article and they were talking about it. Solid article. Go to CBS Sports, just type that title in, you'll find it right up. Good article. My only problem is the time frame. Like, what, 2030 in the next 6 years? I don't know, because it's like, what coach is going to lose his job at that point in time? You never know what's going on with the schools and programs. And also, if they do get a job, where could it be? Because I wouldn't want it to be like an over major school, and I wouldn't want to be known like super minor school. I want like that nice in between tweener where it's like, oh, they got potential to do something great. But if they get like the good coaching with it, so then you can actually see the value of a great woman man as a head coach, because there's some out there. Like, don't think just like, oh, knowing the game of basketball is just a man thing. No, it's some great women, former Hall of Famers, former professionals who can coach teams and do very well. Becky Hammond is probably like the closest one. I don't think why is her name escaping my mind? I'm doing bad with names today. There you go, State. You already know what I'm talking about. I don't think she's leaving, because I feel like she just got it locked in at South Carolina right now. So I think it's just like, what's really the point of leaving if you just like the Don over there to go over what to do South Carolina men's basketball? No, she could probably stay where she's at with that. But I definitely think it will be possible at some point in time. I just don't think about 2030 in the next 6 years, maybe not, but who knows? It could be next year. But I definitely think there's a lot of women in the basketball realm that's highly qualified, honestly. So what about you, Sean? What you think?
So I would say this, SB. I had a conversation with some time ago with a former WNBA player, played in the W for several years, and that this conversation came up, and I mentioned to her that I could see Dawn Staley making the transition from women's, the success she's had at South Carolina, to running a men's program. She said, I don't see it. Dawn is very committed to the women's game and continue to grow the women's game. What I always say this, SB, and the reason why she's probably the one, if it's going to happen, she would be the one that I would think immediately. There's a couple others that I'll mention in a second. It's because once you've accomplished a lot in one place, competitively, sometimes you're looking for that next challenge. You're looking for that next place and the challenge is not necessarily going and building a program, but going somewhere where you can be a change agent and a difference maker. Yeah. If she could do that, and there are a couple others, again, I'll mention here in a second, who I think could do it, it would be interesting. Why 2030? I think the big issue with 2030, and when you look at Division Men's One basketball right now, there's not a lot of women assistants in Division Men's basketball right now. I think it's like 2 in the entire country. That's not good.
That's not.
There's more women assistants in the NBA, and obviously working in the front offices as well in the NBA. And now with where women's basketball is going, not just college, but also the rise of the WNBA, there may not necessarily be the same, I won't say pressure, but the same push to go transition from women's to men's to coach. Now, what has to happen, I think, if you're for the women's game, is certainly there needs to be a little more equity in terms of the dollars.
Right.
But
Sean, I got a question though too. Why would, and I'm being honest about it, I'm sorry to tell y'all this, But I mean, it's even though Caitlin Clark gone, and I see we got other women stars coming like Juju on the way. Why would somebody leave the more popular sport? Because I think right now and today I can say women's D1 basketball is more popular than men's. So why would they want to go if they sat more popular? I mean, honestly, I'm saying the thing. I'm like, honestly, this year I can guarantee you, over the years of my life, this never happened. But this year and the last 2 years, I can say, I have watched more women college basketball games than I did the men this year.
Yeah. I mean,
and they have been more entertaining.
Yeah, and I think where it gets interesting, SB, is like someone like I said Lindsey Harding, for example.
Okay.
Lindsey Harding was an assistant coach in the NBA and still is with the Lakers now. She did interview for Charlotte's head coaching job. Was, I think, given real consideration for that job. I think she could be someone who, coming from the NBA and the men's side, could go take over a Division I program. But sadly, I won't say sadly, but to your point, it's got to be the right program, one, and two, it's got to be in the right part of the country. Because I think there's some parts of the country where they will never fully embrace a woman leading a program like that. That's a much deeper conversation we don't have time to get into right now, but we understand the dynamics of that, right? And the level of misogyny that comes with that in that conversation. So, my belief is it would take something like that, but it's someone who's has experience coaching young men, whether in high school or in the NBA, that could say, okay, yeah, we're gonna make this person this lady our head coach of this Division I men's team. But to your point, the women's game has surpassed the men's game in terms of popularity
on the college
side, on the college side. So
I'm watching USC first game of the season. I'm ready to see Juju play. I'm ready to. Is Juju the biggest star? Juju and Paige Becker might be the biggest star in college basketball, period.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Maybe, well Cooper Flag now, too, because they just got Cooper Flag. But before Cooper, who else? I can't tell you. And that's bad. And I'm like, those all stars. I can't tell you, and that's bad, bro.
Yeah.
But now you hit it right on the head, Sean. Now we got one more last fun story. Obviously, we always talk about player ratings all the time. 2K has dropped the NBA top. We just go through the top 10. You can just tell me if you agree or disagree or will agree with the placements. So the top 10 players go as follows. We're going to start at 10, Sean. Number 10, Anthony Davis as a 94 overall. Number 9, Kevin Durant, 94 overall. Number 8, Jason Tatum, 95 overall. Steph Curry, number 7, 95 overall. Number 6, LeBron James, and with a 95 overall. Now we go into the top 5. Top 5 is Joel Embiid with a 96 overall. Number 4, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a 96 overall. And round out your top 3. Number 3, Giannis with a 97. Number 4, Luka Doncic at a 97. And number 1, Nikola Jokic at a 97. Sean, what is your reaction to the rating? Did they get it right? Top 10 goes as follows. Do you think they got it right? And I can put it on the screen so you can actually look at it.
No, I'm looking at it. No, I mean, it's Ronnie 2K. It's always going to be some subjectivity with Ronnie 2K. Some of these ratings, there were guys that I would have probably considered to be top 10 over some guys.
Who you got?
So someone that comes to mind for me immediately is like Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson is number 13 with a 93 overall.
So he's 13. So again, he would have been somebody I would have probably considered. I'll be honest with you, I probably would have considered Wemby as well.
Wemby went up The crazy thing about it, Wemby was what was Wemby? Wemby was like an 84, 83. He went all the way up to a 91. So he got one of like the highest boosted in like 1 year ever. So Wemby, they buffed Wemby up for sure. The only one I like the Brunson one, but I know the only people ahead of Brunson is Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, which is understandable. I'm shocked that Jaylen Brown is only a 92 overall. Finals MVP. I think he should have been in that 93 range, 94.
Yeah, and again, it's unfortunate, SB. I mean, again, it's Ronnie 2K, right? So I saw some of the defensive ratings, some of the defensive breakdowns, and it was like terrible. It's atrocious. Now, that said, people are gonna still buy the game. People are still gonna play the game.
I'm retiring.
About the game.
I'm retiring this year. I'm done. I can't do it no more. 2K, they didn't got me too many times, bro. I'm good. I'm taking a break from 2K this year. So but I'll be watching for the sideline.
Yeah.
But let me know what you guys think about that top 10 list. They did my boy Tatum a little dirty, but it's cool. It's cool. Tatum is all right. You know, you just did that thing on the Olympics, so they're going to hate on you right now. But episode 100, Sean, I guess we go. Obviously, we got something in store for y'all. When they're coming up this next coming up season, you know, we got to take stuff to the next level. But episode 100, I guess what you want to do 0, maybe do number 0.
We don't have to do anything. It's all right. It's quite all right.
Yeah. But you know, we're gonna move up, man. Just know me and Sean got some surprises for y'all coming up soon when it comes to real takes over fake debates. But appreciate you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys for the kick, the TikTok, YouTube chat. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe, and we will see you guys on Friday. And we are out, Sean.
Rucker Man.